Hey everybody, this is Atlanta News First Anchor Allen Devlin. Thank you so much for joining me here this fine Thursday evening, the first Thursday of March. Check that out. I hope it's been off to a wonderful start for all of you guys, and you guys are having a wonderful time inside because the weather is pretty bad. I'm going to talk to you about one of our top stories tonight, and then later on, Patrick Pete's going to come through and discuss some very important busy days we've got coming up in the next couple of days. Some first alerts that we went through today, and then a first alert weather day tomorrow. But I'm going to let the meteorologist handle that. First thing we're going to talk about, and pretty much the only thing I want to talk to you guys about tonight, is a national story we've been following very closely here at Atlanta News First, and I'm sure you guys at home have been paying attention to as well. The Alec Murdaugh murder trial. The verdict just came down, and that jury, after weeks and weeks of deliberation, decided that they believe unanimously that Alec Murdaugh, disgraced South Carolina attorney, was found guilty. He is guilty of killing his wife and son back in 2021, I should say, excuse me, on their hunting compound there in the state. And so this news just broke a little while ago. Everybody in Atlanta News First was paying very closely to that courtroom. We got it live. We carried it first at 7 o'clock with Tracy Hutchins. And now moving forward, we will continue to get the updates, the information as it comes down. So how did we get here? If you've been paying attention over the last several weeks, you have been following this story closely. You understand the details that surround something like this. Basically, this attorney, who originally was accused of doing money crimes, fraud crimes with his law firm, with his business partners, with his co-lawyers, the prosecution was claiming that he murdered his wife and son at their compound that fateful night, hunting compound, I should say, in order to get away from his crimes with the money. That is the prosecution's defense. The defense's angle was basically that no, Murdaugh was not involved in this whatsoever, and he just happened to stumble upon a horrific crime, the murder of two of his family members. It's been a back and forth. The evidence has been presented. I want to walk you guys a little bit through exactly how we got to this verdict. Listen closer to this package. Take a listen.
There are two words that justice demands in this case, and those two words are not guilty.
His voice quivering in the final moments, Alec Murdaugh's attorney asked the jury to find his client not guilty of murdering his wife and son.
I respectfully request that you do not compound a family tragedy with another.
Attorney Jim Griffin accused law enforcement of fabricating evidence and failing miserably in their investigation into the 2021 murders of Maggie and Paul Murdaugh.
Deputy Rutland talked about seeing hair in Maggie's hands, you'll recall. You didn't hear anything about the hair in Maggie's hands from that moment forward. Was it testing?
He said Murdaugh did lie about his whereabouts in the minutes before the murders, but blamed it on his drug addiction.
I mean, I tell you, he lied because that's what addicts do. Addicts lie. He lied because he had a closet full of skeletons.
When the defense wrapped, prosecutors laid out their final rebuttal.
This is a common sense case.
John Meters argued the scion of one of South Carolina's most prominent legal families committed the murders to distract from his financial crimes.
His world's collapsing, his world's coming down. This was the only way he could save. It's the only way he could save Alex.
A motive the defense had dismissed as outlandish.
Totally illogical, irrational, and insane.
The day began with a bit of courtroom drama. A juror was dismissed for having spoken about the case outside of court. An alternate took her spot to begin the deliberations that will determine Murdaugh's fate. Nikki Batiste, CBS News, Walterboro, South Carolina.
And so that was kind of a walkthrough of the case and how we got up to this point. As I said, after all of that, the jury then unanimously found him guilty. The last thing they did before they got this guilty verdict out was actually travel to the compound where these murders happened, and they got a close walkthrough and look of that crime scene from 2 years ago. And basically, in this synopsis, and all the jurors traveling to that location there in South Carolina and looking and being walked through that crime scene as it stood, they were able to then piece that into the rest of the case and then walk back to Walterboro and say that he is guilty. They believe that he used 2 separate weapons to gun down his son first out in the hunting chambers where you're looking at right now, and then go back to the house and kill his wife again in an attempt to hide financial crimes, exclaim financial money, get the investments back, get the, what's the word I'm looking for, Pete? Insurance money. It was all about the insurance money and whatnot. And we know he actually is accused of trying to take his own life on the side of a road in South Carolina last year before he was arrested, shooting himself in the head with a gun in what they're saying was an attempted suicide in order to collect insurance money for his other son. He didn't kill himself in that gunshot. He survived the gunshot, was taken to the hospital and survived, and then put on trial in this double homicide case. Once again, unanimous decision, Alec Murdaugh guilty in the homicide investigation and trial in the murder of his wife and his son. Atlanta News First is going to continue to follow this one very closely. We've got more coming up at 9, 10, and 11 with Rick Folbaum and Savannah Louie at 9 and 11. I will be joining you on Peachtree TV at 10 o'clock. And any questions you have, anything that comes up, please let us know. This is a tragic story and I guess, ending that we knew was coming as far as guilty or not guilty. We have now reached what has been a 2-year escapade back and forth with the Murdaugh family. Disgraced attorney Alec Murdaugh found guilty of murder. So I'm going to turn the mic over to the second lead story, if not probably the lead story for us here in Atlanta that we've been dealing with today, which is this weather, because it has been an interesting day in terms of weather for Atlanta. And I've got First Alert meteorologist Patrick Pete here to walk you through it. Patrick?
Yeah, Alan, it has been a dreary day, a very damp day. We've essentially had a frontal boundary that's been stalled across the region all day, and that's why we've seen those intermittent showers that, for folks that are north of Atlanta, it pretty much seem to be constant showers. So thankfully, we are going to see eventually some drying out, but we have to get through the next 24 hours. In the next 24 hours, while not as widespread as what we saw today, it has the energy with it that we could see a little bit more aggression with the showers, some thunderstorms, and some severe weather. So we already have a First Alert weather day in place for your Friday as we're watching the afternoon hours for the potential for some strong to severe thunderstorms. This is all as a cold front is going to slide through the area. And now, that cold front has a parent low-pressure system, and since we're not on TV, I'm actually going to take a couple of minutes to kind of break down this environment so that you can understand our wording here. There's an area of low pressure that's attached to the cold front. That's going to be lifting northward and dragging that cold front with it. And as it lifts northward, it's actually going to bring with it the most unstable area to portions of like Kentucky, Tennessee, and into the Ohio River Valley. Now, we're going to be what we call conditionally unstable. Essentially, all of the parameters for thunderstorm development are going to be there except for that main lifting component. We're still going to have some good lift here, but that main lift component is going to be a little bit further north. On top of that, we're going to be watching some prefrontal showers that are going to develop as we head into the early hours tomorrow. And if you follow weather a lot, I know a lot of you all are weather enthusiasts on our Facebook stream. Whenever you get prefrontal showers before an actual front pushes through, if there's not breaks in the clouds, then the atmosphere doesn't recover. So that essentially caps the atmosphere. So we do believe there's going to be some capping, but a lot of the guidance has been trending towards some breaks in the clouds. And where those breaks in the clouds exist, that's where we're going to see some of these isolated thunderstorms really take off. And all severe weather modes are going to be possible in those isolated locations. So that's why we're first alerting you and actually throwing it up another notch, a First Alert weather day for you for this potential for severe weather as we head through the day tomorrow. So level 2 out of 5 risk for strong storms exists for all of our region. Damaging wind gusts are our primary concerns. We already know those winds are going to be gusty, not only as the front pushes through, but out ahead of it and behind it. So it's going to be a windy day. But throw in rain and then throw in some rotation, which I'm going to show you in a little bit why we think that these cells will be rotating. I'll break that down for you. We cannot rule out isolated tornadoes. So let's start off with storm fuel. For everybody who's a weather enthusiast, this is actually going to be our CAPE, convective available potential energy. Storm fuel just sounds better, right? Think of it as gasoline to thunderstorms. There's lots of it that's going to be out there as we head into the afternoon hours, roughly 1 to 5. After that, we lose our gas. Much like with your car, without gas, thunderstorms can't go. You give it some gas, it can take off. On top of that, we're going to be looking at our significant tornado perimeter. Now, it calculates a whole bunch of metrics scientifically, including rotation, and actually adds CAPE into it. And it basically gives the ability for the atmosphere to rotate, for there to be tornadoes to develop. And that's what we're seeing as we head into the afternoon. All of the parameters are in place. And you may be wondering, well, Patrick, if all of the parameters are in place, why aren't you telling us there's definitively going to be a bunch of tornadoes? Got you. Here's a look at the hour-by-hour forecast for your Friday, and we're going to be looking at the moisture component. We're also going to be looking at those prefrontal showers. Here's how we get through the early morning hours. Cloudy, and then 7 a.m., we see those showers trickle in, and they continue to move in as we head through the afternoon, and that main line still isn't pushing through. Now, look into the southwest area. Look Carrollton, LaGrange, and points to the west. You can see those clear spots. You see those wispy clouds, and then you see those clear spots. It's those clear spots that you see sprinkled across the region. It's what's going to really give fuel to some of these isolated cells to push through. Here is that main line, and something that you may notice is it isn't a cohesive line. So we're not going to have a line of showers and storms that moves through everyone's neighborhoods, but there's going to be discrete cells that are going to be rotating, producing heavy rain, strong wind, damaging wind that time, and we cannot rule out that tornado. We'll be tracking that through the 3 o'clock hour, eventually seeing that energy taper off by 6 when you're getting off work and getting ready to drive home. We're going to lose all of that, but we're still going to keep some pretty gusty winds. So the National Weather Service not only has us in that risk zone, but we also have the potential for some gusty winds through the afternoon. Here's your hour-by-hour planner. Because those winds are going to be out of the south and elevated, we're going to easily get into the mid-70s through the afternoon, and then we're under that wind advisory from 7 a.m. tomorrow morning through 11 o'clock Friday night, as winds, even outside of thunderstorms, could gust 40, 45 miles per hour. And it's not just us, it's our whole region. The afternoon is going to be breezy. If you had plans to maybe leave town early, you took a half day off work, and you're going to be driving anywhere west, north, east, be prepared for those winds to be elevated and try to avoid 18-wheelers because everybody's going to be swaying on the interstate tomorrow afternoon. Thankfully, we'll see clearing through the overnight, and we're going to set ourselves up for a fantastic weekend. Temperatures start off in the morning in the mid to upper 40s, near 50, so a little chilly, but we're going to quickly get into the 60s around lunchtime and then flirt with 70 degrees in some places as we head into the afternoon. So listen, this is a good weekend to get outside. Nobody should be in the house. We're going to pretty much do the same thing all over again as we head into your Sunday, except we're going to actually bump up the temp another degree or so. So we'll get to 70, and then we'll warm as we head through the beginning of next week, but watching a series of systems that are going to approach the region Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So we'll need the umbrellas nearby as showers are going to be likely. Of course, looking forward to the weekend, but want to make sure that I reinforce that we're going to be on top of these showers and storms tomorrow. All 7 of us are going to have our hands in the pot at some point, tracking these storms, looking at every update. And because this is one of those these conditionally unstable days, you're going to want to tune in tonight. Meteorologist Fred Campagna and myself, we're going to actually get some new data within the next hour. So we'll be updating that forecast roughly 10, or you can catch that update at 11. But also in the morning, our team of meteorologists in the morning are going to be going through the freshest, the newest, most accurate information. And that's going to give us an idea of what the atmosphere looks like in the morning. And we can kind of forecast down the hours. So before you leave home tomorrow morning, tune in. We're on from 4:30 to 10. So you got multiple options to check out the latest data. Before you get out of the door, make sure you have the First Alert Weather app. Download it because it's going to tell you when heavy rain is in your area. It's going to tell you when lightning is in your area. And it's also going to tell you whenever there are warnings for your area. And that's what you're definitely going to want to have on standby for a day like tomorrow, especially with that conditional instability. So based off of what I said, you all know that I have my work cut out for me tonight. I have some more data to go and break down, but you can catch meteorologist Fred Campagna at 9. I'll be on at 10, and then he'll be giving you that final look at the latest data tonight at 11. I'm going to leave you with this 7-day forecast so that you can plan for the weekend and so that you can not blame me whenever you don't take advantage of the sun in the 70s. And we will see you tonight.